need to change the proportion of this image and this image with the creepy clown. They're both wide, but they're not nearly wide enough to fit the proportion of something like a 14 by 48 billboard. So to start off with, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate my layer as I normally would to start any project. I'm going to go get the rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle kind of a little bit above the boot and pull it down a little bit below. My number's coming up to be a little over 17 inches. And normally I would want that area to be 14 inches. So this picture is still a little bit too big. I'm going to do a little bit of resizing here in Photoshop before I even put it in InDesign just to see what's going on. So I'm going to go to Image, down to Image Size. And instead of changing this, normally the size in inches or in picas or points, I'm going to say I did some math, and 17.5 down to 14 is about 80%. And as I do this, I'm going to leave the resample button off. And that's going to enlarge the image, increase the resolution from 72 to 90 as I actually shrink the picture down. I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to come on over here and I'm going to go to Image, Canvas Size. Click over here on the side dot. So that's going to mean that anything that I add to the width is going to add over here to the left edge of it. Type in maybe not 48, I'll go to 49, just give myself a little bit of wiggle room. I come back with the rectangle tool and I'm going to go to Fix Size just so you can see what's going on. I'm going to make a rectangle that's exactly 48 by 14, make a new layer for it. I'm going to go up to Edit, Fill with my foreground color. So I've got a green rectangle. I'm going to just change the opacity. Now maybe you're going to have a better idea what I'm trying to do here. So with this rectangle, I want the boots to sit about like this. So there's a little bit of space above and a little bit of space below. But that does mean I have to clone or do something to put all this image all the way out to at least here. I'll go ahead and take it all the way to the edge of the white. I'm going to turn off this layer because I don't want to see what's going on here. Now I need to come back to the background copy. And with the Quick Select tool, I need to go ahead and make a quick mask on my boots. Doesn't have to be very good. Oops, grabbed everything. Try that again. And then this one. Get rid of most of this. Okay, so now I have a really rough mask that's just on these boots here. It does include the area in between, but that doesn't really matter. And now I'm going to go over to Channels, and I'm going to click the mask icon down here at the bottom. Save selection as channel. Only thing is this is an old function in Photoshop, so I don't want this to be black here. I want it to be white with everything else in the background being black. So for that, I need to find the command that's called invert, or Command I. I'll go back up here to RGB so I can see all my colors again. Back over to layers. Now I'm ready to go up to Edit, Content Aware Scale. Pull this over here, but as you can see, it's stretching the boots too. So that's why I made that channel mask. Now I go up here to where it says Protect, and I say Alpha 1. And it's going to go back and reshrink the boots back to their normal size, so I'm not blowing them up and doing something weird to them, because everybody can see when you've done something like that. Since this is my new working layer, I'm going to go ahead and copy that one again too. Turn these back ones off. So now I'm just going to be messing up this copy rather than hurting anything down here. And now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and say, in this area, I don't know if I really want this log or this log. Now, if that's not going to be a problem, then you're done. But if for some reason you thought, that's a lot of different noise going on in the background for when I'm trying to add some type, maybe I want this area to be a little bit cleaner to begin with. So I'm going to come on up here, and I'm going to go get underneath the healing brushes, I'm going to go ahead and pick the healing brush tool, not the spot one, because this allows me to get the gun target. I'm going to shrink my brush down here to about 800 pixels. I'm going to hold the Option button down, and I'm going to click right about here. And then I'm going to move straight over, not down or up, trying to keep this thing kind of in line. And I'm going to push and hold, and I'm going to drag a little bit. I'll come back in over here and I'll do that one more time. Again, trying to keep this fairly straight. I can come down in here onto this seam and this kind of shadow underneath this log. There. Maybe even do it one more time in here. Just to see if that's good enough. If for some reason I wanted to, I could reduce the size of my brush and I could go get some plain wood right here and I could try to do the same thing to clone out these spots. But I think already I'm in better shape than where I was at, especially if my goal was to be able to do some kind of text. Maybe that looked like... I had large text on my billboard and I was placing it somewhere out here. Maybe it fits somewhere inside this green box. Maybe this would be good. Again, if for some reason I didn't even think that I needed to do that work on the log, I could have still had this one here. Again, it just might be a little bit too noisy with the text back in here, and that's the reason I did that. If for some reason you thought that this area up in here looked a little bit odd, I could go back and get the selection tool on this layer. And now what I need to do here is, instead of selecting invert, I need to select the inverse, which sounds very similar, but it's not. This one's Command-Shift-I. What this does is it made the selection be up here, so now I have a mask. Nothing I can do right now is going to hurt the log. And I could come back up with the cloning tool. And I could try to option click on this line here to go back and extend that. And bring kind of some sharp lines back into this thing. Over again, same kind of thing. I could do that up here. You could also click up here. And now I'm just bringing some sharper image from up in here and pulling that back toward the log. So I kind of tried to even that out a little bit. If you see some little divots, then you need to go back and get clone tool or the spot healing brush tool and just attack these with a much smaller brush to be able to try to get rid of any kind of dips or divots out of that log. But there we go. That's, again, two different ways to either have just done the content aware scale or to have done that with a little bit of cloning. Save that out, dump it into InDesign, and you're ready to go. This one's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it. I'm going to go ahead and move down, and let's just, for the sake of argument, say that I was going to do the same type of thing. I want this for a billboard that would be like 14 feet tall, but we're using 14 inches as our working dimension. Click OK. Come back over here and go to canvas size. Again, click on the right. Say that the width needs to be 48. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Make sure that white is in my background color here. It'll just make it easier for my eyes so I don't have to stare at that green. I got to fill this entire area with this. One more time, I could try to go get the selection tool. Make a mask on not only my creepy clown's face, his hair, but maybe through the black of his body. And then I could come over to channels, and I could click the mask, go down to the mask, image, adjustment, invert, or Command-I to flip it, back to the RGB layer, back to layers. Now I could come up to edit, content aware scale, and I could try to pull this, which is stretching his face and all the smoke. I could try to see what would happen if I protected alpha 1, and I'm not really happy with that. It made no matter what it did, it stretched his hair way out and it did something creepy to the cloak. So I'm going to say I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to use a different strategy to attack this. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make a selection. Just this part of the purple smoke. Copy, paste. Just going to put it on a whole new layer all by itself. This layer 1, I'm going to move it over here. And then I'm going to go to the free transform, edit free transform. Command T, grab this, pull this out here. I'm actually going to overlap my image just slightly. I can come back on in with the clone stamp tool, big brush, option, click on some of the smoke, and I can get rid of that. Same kind of thing, get this area here, work to get rid of this area in here slightly. And the smoke is going to be much bigger detailed than this just because I took the cheap and easy way out, just trying to copy it from here. I probably, if I had more time, I'd be looking for a picture of some kind of smoke and I'd be colorizing it to match this. Now that I've got this set up, I'm going to click the mask button here. And I'm going to, with black paint, a little bit smaller brush. Okay, now here's my problem. I'm trying to get rid of the seam of what I just brought in, but the problem is that now I'm seeing the white underneath it. So I'm going to hide this layer, go back to my duplicate here, reset this to be black, fill this white area with black. Go back and turn this on, and now I think you can see what I'm trying to do here, which is on this mask, just get rid of this hard line that had popped up. As soon as I've done that, then I could go ahead and tell it to merge down, which is going to combine those top two layers. And then I could come back over here with the clone tool or with the spot grading brush. I'm going to option click. And I'm going to go ahead and try to draw some of this purple out. Kind of hide that seam. I'm just option clicking in here. I'll go ahead and get rid of that chain. But now I have filled this area up with this smoke thing. First, I noticed one other thing that looks odd, and that is this one part of the smoke. And I couldn't really tell that over here when it was so small. But it's kind of bluish gray compared to the rest of it. So I'm going to take the cloning tool and change the mode from normal to color. Option click over here. Now if I kind of drag in, I can just change the color from being the bluish gray part to being more of a purple that would fit in with the rest of what's going on. Now once again, this isn't perfect, but at least I should be able to have an easier time trying to envision how this would fit on a really wide billboard. And then at that point, again, it'll probably look quite a bit different if I had some really large text that I was doing. As I'd be adding any kind of text in InDesign, or even if I chose to add it in Photoshop, the attention is going to be drawn to the text. So any kind of seam or anything like that in the background color is something you're just not going to be paying that much attention to.